Oh boy. Okay. We are back. Uh, this is gonna be a struggle to get through this one. If you thought the last one was bad, this one is gonna be very, very bad. Um Let me just quickly check if everything's working as usual. Okay, yeah, connection's excellent. Wonderful. Let's pause that. Chat is now popped out, so hopefully that will actually work. Say hi if you're in chat. Oh. Doodle doo doo doo. Okay. Uh. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's a good afternoon, but it's certainly an afternoon. Welcome in. Welcome in. Oh. I don't know how. I'm not really sure how I'm gonna keep sane for this. I've gone over things in my head of what I want to say regarding this result, but all of them end up in me getting very, very riled up and very, very sweary. And obviously, on this channel, I cannot be like that, which I really want to be. I want to, I want to, I want to kind of bun it off, if I'm being honest, being the PC-ness of this channel. But there we are. Sorry, I'm just reading. Let me just read the thing. Do you think Thiago Silva's career is coming to an end? Yes. I think that, and I've made it quite known earlier on in the season that I think that he's far past what he used to be. Admittedly, I don't know if it's fair to judge him because of obviously the system that we are playing doesn't suit him at all. He's a player that really, really needs those two other centre backs next to him, or he just gets overrun very quickly. So there's that. But obviously he's getting his UEFA coaching license soon, so we're probably going to see him retire from playing and then go into coaching. And I assume he'd probably go back to Brazil and coach like a Brazilian team that he used to play for or something like that. Anyway, I'm just gonna hit the intro so we've got the music on in the background, so I'm not boring you to death with the static screen. So hang on. Lads, lasses, and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono CFC, and welcome to Feeling Blue. Okay, yeah, sorry. Someone just pointed out in chat that I typed the score wrong. So I'll just change that real quick. I'm all out of sorts, as you can probably tell. Right, welcome to Feeling Blue. I'm gonna try and do this as well as I can. The series in which we take my lucky number 7 things. Coming up with 7 things was very difficult for this one. I can't lie. We take 7 things and we put them in these neatly organized boxes from good feelings to bad feelings, and then we will crown a true blue at the end of this. That's gonna be a fun poll. Yeah. So the first thing I'm gonna do here, just because this is going to get very toxic very quickly, and I want to start something off with some positivity, we're going to do the bingo card, because I do have the bingo card. I'll bring it up here. Obviously, every single week, match week, I put out one of these on my Twitter and on the community page. So you can tick these off with me whilst we're watching the game, but I usually like doing it on the stream. So, firstly, let's just go from the top left and we'll go all the way to the right. So there was a penalty, but it wasn't for us, but there was a penalty, so I'm taking that. So this is for David Washington. This originally said David plays, and I just could not see him ever deciding to play him, despite that interview coming out saying, oh, we have Washington. Yeah, so David didn't play, failed tap-in. I'm going to count the Sterling missed chance as a failed tap-in because he should be scoring that. Player in the wrong position. I mean, technically we played everyone kind of in the right positions. We did get Gilchrist and Badiashile at left and right back respectively at the end, so I'm going to cross that off. What is this lineup? We didn't actually have this. I think genuinely, people at the start when the lineup was released. I think a lot of people were actually kind of like, okay, this could do something, but we did also see Gallagher, Sterling, and Chilwell still in the lineup, which is a bit, So I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna take it. Poch out at half time. Oh, we saw a lot of Poch out at half time. We saw a lot of boos at half time. We saw we saw a lot at half time, so that's going. Carney played, so we can get this. Giant hole in midfield. Yeah, in fact, I'm gonna double this because I think that was the main reason. Gilchrist Passion Session. We had this. So I put hat trick. We got one line. I put hat trick and I put in brackets Nkunku. This is just for a hat trick in the game. This wasn't just for Nkunku, but I personally thought that Nkunku would be the one to get it, so that's why I put that there. But we did actually see a hat trick, and it wasn't for our team. It was it was for Cunha. So there we go. Palmer G/A. Yep, we got that. Injury list grows. Did we get an injury? I think this might be the first game we've not got an injury. It's amazing. We haven't got an injury. Oh, free space. Jackson didn't get yellow carded, I don't think. We did not get the clean sheet. Did we concede a header? I don't think we did. I think all the goals we conceded were on the floor, right? Yeah, I think they were all on the floor. Sterling down in the box, that's just, yeah, that happens all the time. Gallagher ruining a transition happens all the time. Gusto Beauty isn't met, so this is basically restricted for those times when Gusto puts a really good ball into the box and it just either doesn't get met correctly or just goes past everyone. And we saw from Jackson completely scuffing his header, so I'm taking this one. We didn't really see a screamer, so I won't take that. Oh, this is gone. This is really gone. This is not gone. VAR is useless. No, I think the referee. You know what? I actually think the referees were actually pretty good today, which is saying something because I usually rant about them. 60-minute sub from Poch. Yeah, we saw this. Chelsea's injuries don't count. We did actually hear on the commentary eventually, I think it was in the 86th minute that we had loads of injuries. But we got, okay, so we've got, what, 2 lines? That's not bad. Got 2 lines this week. We'll see what we can get next week. Oh, God. Anyway, let's get into the actual, the meat and potatoes of this. Let's start with the goods, because I say goods plural, but there isn't. There isn't more than one. There's only one player going into this good box, and it's Cole Palmer. I genuinely believe he is the only redeeming quality, the only redeeming thing that we had in this game was Cole Palmer. Not only because he obviously gets the first goal and very well taken on his weaker side, but I genuinely think that he was the only player that could actually walk off that pitch with their head slightly held up high and say, I put in a good performance today. I don't think anyone else can do that. If it wasn't for this man, I genuinely think we'd probably be in 15th or 14th. We'd be very, very far down the table if it wasn't for Cole. So long may his good form continue, and obviously, as the bingo suggested, he got a goal contribution. As I said, usually when a player gets a goal contribution, I put them into the good box. That doesn't apply for this next player, because I'm going to be putting them into the medium box, because they were so poor in the game that even though they got a goal, I cannot put them any higher than medium, and that's Thiago Silva. Obviously, great goal, really good header at the front post. Mudryk getting an assist, which is nice to see, but my God, was Thiago Silva absolutely woeful at the back today. All of our defenders were woeful at the back today. I'm not going to single him out, but as I said, I needed to come up with 7 points for this video, so that's what I kind of had to split that into Thiago Silva on his own. We'll move straight on to... genuinely, I don't have much more to say. He was just awful. He doesn't have the pace to get back anymore. Playing in at a 4 at the back doesn't suit him. Especially when he plays on the left-hand side of that 4 at the back, and the left-hand side for us is basically non-existent, which we'll get onto in a little bit. The next player I'm going to be giving a bad to, and this is the first time this player is actually featured in the bad box, I believe, and it's really upsetting because I do genuinely think he just had a bad day. I don't think it was... I don't think he's a bad player in general, and that's for Malo Gusto. He was getting absolutely cooked on this right-hand side, which is saying something because we were somehow worse on the left-hand side, which is crazy. But Gusto was just, especially in the first half, I don't think he was as bad in the second half, but in the first half he was getting cooked over and over again. He kept giving the ball away, and again, maybe that's down to the Maybe that's down to the actual the management rather than him. I actually need to make this much smaller because I've got way more things to go in this box. I just realised. But I think that, yeah, it could be down to the management and the way that we tried to play out from the back rather than hoofing it. But he just kept giving the ball away in dangerous situations. We almost conceded 2 goals really early on, and they both came from Gusto just giving the ball away. So as I said, that's the only reason he's going to go in here. The next player that's going to go into one of the boxes, I will say, we've made this one good and this one medium. The rest are going in this box. There is not a single thing going in any other box now. It's bads from here on out. The next one that I will be putting in here is, again, another one which I'm kind of reluctant to put in here because I really love the bloke, but he had an absolutely woeful game. And again, it could be down to tactics, and that's Caicedo. This man had probably, other than the West Ham game where he got sent off, probably the worst game that he's ever had in a Chelsea shirt. And again, I don't think it's particularly his fault. I think the way he's being used in this system is so unfair to him because he is such a quality player, but he is just being hung out to dry by the tactics. He's constantly playing as a one-man midfield. We genuinely play like our back four, Caicedo in massive amount of space with no one else around him, and then 5 players up top, and it's so annoying because it's just like, we know how good he is, we've seen how good he is, and we even saw it from the assist that he got an assist that he can play as that box-to-box player. He's so good at doing that, and he can play that final ball to get the assists and things, but he's just so wrongly used, and it's just and again, like, I've seen people that are clearly don't actually watch Chelsea play online that basically say that Caicedo has been the flop of the season throughout the entire every single player in the league. Supposedly everyone's voting Caicedo as the flop of the season, and I think that's really harsh on him because not only has he actually been pretty decent throughout the majority of the season, but all of that is just because of his price tag, and he can't control the price tag. He's not the one that says, hey, I'm worth this much. That's up for clubs to decide. But today he was just getting cooked over and over by the Wolves midfield, and I want to say here, credit to Wolves. I don't think that we played well, but I think they set up so well to beat us, and admittedly it's kind of embarrassing when Pochettino is getting outclassed tactically by Gary O'Neill, which is kind of goes to show how out of his depth he is. But Wolves were absolutely fantastic today, full of running, which is incredible as well because they had less days to prepare for this game than we did. They were just cooking Caicedo in the middle like over and over again. Every single time he got the ball, 4 players on him. He couldn't do anything. And as I said, I've said before, Caicedo is really, really good at playing out of pressure like that. When he has got the options to pass to. But in this system, the way that we play with Enzo and Gallagher basically just playing as inside forwards 15,000 meters up the pitch, he just doesn't have anyone to pass to. And it's just like, well, cool, I guess I'm going to lose the ball then. And that's exactly what happens, and that's what leads to a lot of one of the opportunities and then one of the goals. It's just Caicedo getting the ball taken off him in the midfield. And again, I put him in here because it was a bad performance from him, but I just don't think it's his fault. And it's really upsetting because I don't want to blame him, but I have to classify it as a bad performance. That's just how it goes. The next thing I'm going to be putting into this bad is for the usual suspects, as I always call them, because this happens every single time, and I cannot, in my right mind, understand why the hell these two played after the performance they put in against Liverpool, and that's for Sterling and Gallagher. These two are absolutely woeful. I can't even call them footballers. I genuinely cannot call these guys footballers. Sterling is on 350,000 a week, I believe, and he puts in this type of performance every single week. It's genuinely shocking. Like, he earns 3 times as much as some of the other players in this team, and he's about 3 times as bad as they are. And I just don't understand it. And I genuinely said this on Twitter. I said this on Twitter that if this game is not the final game that Sterling plays in the Chelsea shirt, and I will genuinely lose faith in every single part of this club from top to bottom, because he has genuinely been one of our worst players consistently. And this is the thing which is funny, is that he's been consistently inconsistent, is how I would put him. It's like he has not had like a string of more than 3 games where he's been good, and those 3 games were against teams like Luton and Grimsby or whoever in the cup. Like, Yeah, and this is what I said at the start of the season. I said that I said at the start of the season when I was doing my tier list, I believe. I think it wasn't my tier list. You guys will know better than me. I'm useless at that, remembering anything. But I think it was in my tier list where I was rating every Chelsea player in the squad, and I said that Sterling is on his way out. He is on a decline, and I do not think he's going to get any better. And we should basically just cash out on him as soon as we can. And well, we're halfway through the season, over halfway through the season, and I'm being proven right. So there's that. Gallagher, man, I want Gallagher to do well because he's a Cobham product, but I can't defend him because he's just utterly useless on the ball, and yeah, just genuinely, I've seen like every single time. I said this in my last thing. I said every single time Sterling gets the ball, he just runs into the defender. It happens every single time. And like sometimes the thing which is really frustrating about Sterling specifically, and I'll get back onto Connor in a second. The thing which is really frustrating about Sterling is that sometimes he has those little flashes of just individual brilliance, and you're like, oh my god, he's actually a good player. Like he can receive the ball on the half turn and spin in behind us to get us going up the pitch. But then after all of that good work, he just runs into the fullback and gives the ball away. So it's just like, what's the point? What's the point? You might as well just given it away earlier. And let's move back on to Connor, because again, I feel bad because I want Connor to do well. We've seen from other teams, like when he played at Palace, when he played at West Brom, that he does have something about him, and he can be that player that can score goals and can run around and be a nuisance. But at the moment, he's being more of a nuisance to us than he is to opposition teams, because he just kind of runs around, gets out of position, leaves Caicedo out to dry, and then when he does get on the ball, he just ruins every single attack that we have. He begins the move. He begins the move, but the thing is, he doesn't do it consistently enough to warrant him being in the team. I bet that if you put Carney Chukwuemeka in the exact same situation that Gallagher was in for our first goal, he does the same thing, and probably does it better. He probably does it quicker. And this is the thing about Gallagher, is that every single time he receives the ball, it just constantly seems like he's going to turn back and then pass it backwards. And again, I hate saying it because I love the kid, because he is from Cobham, and I really want our Cobham products to succeed, but he has just shown a little bit more and more as the season has progressed that he's just not technically sound enough to play in the role that he's being put in. And again, maybe we can put this down to the tactics. Maybe this is something that Pochettino is doing, because as I said, we've seen from when he was playing under Vieira at Palace that he can actually play as a really, really decent attacking midfielder. But maybe it's just the role that he's playing here. I don't know. Maybe it's because he's running around so much that he's just too tired by the time he gets on the ball, and then he just can't. He doesn't have the brain power to continue to play a pass. I'm not sure. But let's move on to what I like to call the third. I say these two are the usual suspects. The last player I'm going to put in here is like the third stooge out of these three, and it's Ben Chilwell. And this really hurts me as an Englishman, as an English Chelsea fan. It really hurts me that all of the players in our team that are absolutely woeful are all English players. It's just. And you know what, I'm going to put Gallagher to the side because I think I need to talk about Sterling and Chilwell as a collective in this. That left-hand side is one of the worst left-hand sides in the league. I genuinely, when I say one of, it probably is the worst left-hand side in the league. We have a fullback that cannot defend, constantly gets up the pitch, commits himself way too high and never runs back. And then next to him, we have a winger that never tracks back, is completely, utterly useless defensively. So these two basically just run up to the pitch, run up the top of the pitch, and just leave this giant hole in the left channel. And then obviously Thiago Silva is on that left side trying to be the man to have recovery pace. And Pedro Neto, every single time he got the ball or got the chance to run in behind, he must have been licking his lips, because every single time the ball goes out to Pedro Neto, no one's catching him because they're all too high up the pitch. They're all getting nosebleeds, and it's just impossible for us to ever defend it. And again, this is why I feel sorry for Thiago Silva in that instance, because like, what is Thiago Silva meant to do? He's 39, nearly going on 40, and he's got to constantly make recovery runs for these two buffoons that are running up the pitch and just leaving that giant gap there. And it's not like them actually committing themselves up the pitch is actually creating any chances either, because Chilwell just gets the ball up high and then just passes it backwards. and then Sterling gets the ball and then just runs into the fullback and gives the ball away. So, and whenever we play down the right-hand side with Gusto, and admittedly I do think he was poor this game defensively, I think he was semi-decent going forward. Anytime the ball goes down the right-hand side with Gusto and Palmer, that's our good side. And this side is absolutely awful. And I'm gonna get on to the final point here, and I saw someone point this out, and I want to make like, spoiler alert, it's Pochettino, obviously. Obviously it's Pochettino. Obviously Pochettino out. Obviously, please sacked in the morning. If he's not gone by noon tomorrow morning, I will be genuinely shocked, because usually boards don't like sacking managers, but when the home crowd is starting to get annoyed at the manager, and when we have the boos, and we have the chance of Roman Abramovich, and we have the we're effing shit like chants going around all the time. There's the first swear word on the channel. That's getting me demonetized. But when we have those chants going around the stadium, and it's just that's usually the drawing point of the board, where they're like, well, we can't keep him now. Everyone's upset with him. It's not just the internet, it's everyone. And I'm gonna say this as a preference, because I don't want people to take me out of context. I know, how do I word this? I know that sacking Pochettino is not going to fix every single issue at Chelsea Football Club. Chelsea Football Club are a club that is in absolute panic and complete, just utter woefulness from top to bottom. That goes from the players all the way up to the people that own the club. I understand that. But the issue is, this is such a big problem, and it's such a fixable problem, that it's the first thing we should tackle. Because changing the sporting directors and stuff, that's a really long process. Changing the players is difficult to do too, because you have to get all the scouting and find all the wages and all of this and all of the structures for contracts and stuff, and that's such a long negotiation. Getting in a manager that is not as bad as Pochettino is a very simple thing, because there is genuinely about 12, 13 managers in this league that are better than him. I'm pretty sure we could find someone that would do the job. Admittedly, the actual free managers are a bit few and far between at the moment, but I still think that, like, genuinely you could give this group of players to anyone else and they'd do better. This is the thing, which is, I mentioned in my preview, I said the only thing I wanted from this game was a step above where we were last season, and we've gone backwards. At this point, after 23 games last season under Graham Potter, arguably our worst ever manager to ever grace Chelsea Football Club, with one of our worst finishes in history, last season we were doing better than we are now, which is absolutely ludicrous to me. Absolutely ludicrous. How can we get worse? I've just seen the super chat. It's just come up. Thanks for the $2, Huang He-chan, that says, "I'm better than Chelsea. Imagine if I played." Genuinely, if Huang was playing with his pace up top, this would have probably been about 6-0. Thank you for the $2. That's I appreciate it. But yeah, it's now, and I've made this. I've said it so many times, man. Like, just the tactical naivety, the just complete stubbornness to never change anything, the over-reliance on the same players, the obvious grinding of players in training that is helping our injury problems rise and not really getting players fit, and just making our players so tired that they can't, despite us not playing as many games and not having European games to contend with, we still looked more tired than half the teams we play against. And I don't understand it. And this is the thing, is that now that he's lost, not only the fan base, not only me, thank you for the $2, Hoodie, who says, "Here you go, since the bid will be demonetized." Thank you, I appreciate that. Hopefully it won't be, because usually it's like in the first, like, I think it's like the first 10 seconds. So I haven't seen like the quotes from the presser yet, so that'll be fun to look at. But it's when you see that he's lost the players too now. You see when Caicedo comes off, it's been reported that he was absolutely livid and he was battering his chair before he sat down for the bench when he was subbed off. And I think that frustration comes from the fact that these players know that they can play better than this, and I think they are now fed up. And it's even worse. You get people like, you get the wives of our players, Belle Silver, coming out and being like, please, can we not have this anymore? And yeah, as I said, Belle Silver's tweet is gold. I again, it's really upsetting because I really love those two. I love their family. But like, it's just like, I don't know, I've got I've just lost for words, man. I've already said it all before, and I've been saying it all season that we need to get rid of this guy, and I think hopefully now that people are kind of getting on board with what I've been saying for the last like 2 months, I think it's been at least. And as I said, I know that this isn't the only problem that we have at the club, and I know that this isn't going to instantly fix things. We're not going to instantly go and win, go like hire Mourinho and win the Champions League or something like that. I know that's not going to happen, but we have to take that first step, and the first step has to be getting rid of him. And maybe, as I said, maybe there isn't any good replacements, but all I know is that there, in this current situation, now that he's lost the fans, he's lost the players, there is no reason that we should have him at the club, because it's just going to make us go down. And the problem is, this season seems unrecoverable in terms of league form, but the one shining light that we have in this season is that EFL Cup final against Liverpool. That's our one ticket into Europe next season, which is massive. European qualification is a huge amount of money for the club that can be put into investing in a new manager, or investing into players that can actually play for the team and aren't under 25. Yeah, exactly. This is a part of the thing, part of the reason why I'm so, and a lot of people are like, oh, we shouldn't hire Mourinho because Mourinho's really pragmatic and he's not expansive and he's not good enough for young players. And I understand those criticisms, and I do agree with them, and I don't think that Mourinho's ego would allow him to become an interim manager anyway, even though that's my pipe dream. But I genuinely don't think that we could go backwards from here. We are in such a bad spot that I genuinely think that any change is worth rolling the dice for. Sorry is a good choice. I didn't think about this when I was kind of listing off managers the other week that I kind of wanted to see. Amorim obviously being one of the main ones. Roberto De Zerbi, I think, would get a lot out of these players. I saw some people say Sarri, and I realised at that time that, like, with Enzo in the side, Sarri would absolutely love this group of players. Mourinho and John Terry would be a really, like, John Terry assistant manager would be lovely to see, as a huge fan of the bloke, but again, I think that's more of a pipe dream and that wouldn't work. And as I said, I think that there are problems higher up in the club, the board being one of them. I don't think they understand what they're doing, really. We've only had a few of those kind of promising scouting data. Oh, we're looking into getting all these young players that are going to be great in the future type of scouting. There's only been a few of those that have actually kind of come through to fruition. One of them being Palmer, one of them being Angelo out in Strasbourg, who's doing really, really well. And yeah, I've said this all before. I'm just exasperated, and I had to stream this because I knew if I didn't stream, people would be like, how are you not streaming? We just lost 4-1, or 4-2 rather. But if Zidane goes to Liverpool, should we consider Xavi? I mean, yeah, I would prefer, if we're gonna go for one of those managers that's actually like at a club already, or has been recently, the one that I would probably go for is Alonso. But I don't think that Alonso will ever leave because he's doing really, really well. Obviously, the other ones, we've got Zidane, we've got, as I said before, Amorim, who's out in Portugal, who I think is probably the one we will go for. Obviously, there's Nagelsmann, there's Hansi Flick. They're all kind of unrealistic to me, and I genuinely think that we're probably gonna end up with like an interim manager like Gus Hiddink or something like that. That'd be really funny. Yeah, that's the thing. Joshua makes a really good point there, and I basically mentioned, I said that like 2 seasons without Europe for Chelsea Football Club is straight up unacceptable. Excuse my phone buzzing. I think it's straight up unacceptable, and players aren't going to want to play here if we don't have Europe. Like, people people come to Chelsea football. It's always been the way. It's that players come to Chelsea Football Club because we have always offered consistent Europe. Like, we always made the top 4, at least the top 5, and now we're kind of just gonna finish mid-table every season. That I don't think we'll be able to attract the type of players that we want. And we're lucky in a way that we've tied down so many of these players to these long contracts, because they kind of can't leave unless they get bailed out from their contract somehow. And it's a shame to see, because a lot of those players, and a lot of these players which I've kind of put into, well, I say a lot, but a few of the players which I've put into the bad boxes, like Gusto and Caicedo, these are good players. Same with Thiago Silva. They are good players. Same as other players that have been bad in this game, like Badiashile, who was bad in the Liverpool game. They are good players, but they're just made to look absolutely foolish and just completely horrific under Pochettino. And we saw, like, even this is the thing which is crazy to me, is that we saw, like, Enzo, for example. I think Enzo is a really good example of this. Is that because when he was playing under Lampard, he was somehow better than now, which is weird, because Lampard is a terrible manager, and that's one of the things I'm terrified of, is if we sack Pochettino, we're getting a third stint at Lampard. that would be horrific. Please don't do that. But knowing this board and how they nonsensically do things, I would not be surprised if that happens. Yeah, I think this is the thing. It's like the thing which we kind of need to do is like a change in system, because obviously our players have been routinely kind of bought for 3 at the back systems. Obviously, 2 of our big players in our Tuchel dominance was James and Chilwell, who were really, really good right and left wing backs respectively. And that's the thing. That's part of the reason why this is concerning to me. Sorry, my ADHD is going all over the place and I'm reading chat. But that's one of the main things, because obviously we are looking at getting Osimhen. Like, it's very clear. Like, that's the narrative for football going into the summer, is that Osimhen needs a new club. We need a new striker. It kind of fits hand in hand. We overpay for everyone. It fits hand in hand. I don't think he's going to say yes to this club if we have Pochettino there. And if we do have Pochettino there and he does sign, I think he's just going to turn into absolute dog water. Because like the rest of our team, as soon as he gets a hold of a player, they turn into cottage cheese. Oh, Julian Lopetegui. Oh no. But this is the thing. I tweeted this out. We can go back into Gusto a little bit here. I tweeted this out, that every single player that Poch has touched, has he improved anyone? By the way, can anyone in chat give me a name? Has Pochettino improved any player in our team? Because I genuinely can't think of one. I originally said Gallagher. I originally said, oh, I think you could give it Gallagher. You could say that's the one player that he's improved. But Gallagher's actually terrible now, so I don't think so. So this is the thing, people say Palmer, but I don't think Palmer has improved. Palmer was a really good player. He was scoring goals in a final against Arsenal when he played for Man City. He was already class. But in a way, Palmer's the only player that Pochettino hasn't been able to corrupt. Could argue Mudryk, yeah, I guess. But then Mudryk is just... he's just really raw. I feel really sorry for him. Mudryk is another player which I think kind of highlights Pochettino's kind of the way that he biases against certain players, which is really upsetting. Obviously, we've seen the interviews recently of him saying, I pick people on merit. That's why Mudryk's not playing. But he had a really, really good game from the start, and then you benched him the next game, and then he's been terrible ever since. And now you're talking about meritocracy or whatever, and you're starting Chilwell, Sterling and Gallagher, who are utterly woeful in the last game. I feel like we could have won this game if we set up better and we didn't have those 3 in the team. Genuinely, I feel like if we didn't have those 3 stooges in the team, we could have at least had a chance of winning. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Yeah, Pochettino has this weird thing of he plays Mudryk has a good game, and just when we think, oh, he's gaining momentum and he's starting to play well and get consistent minutes, he instantly gets dropped, and then as soon as he comes back, he just doesn't get back to the speed of the game. I think it's really unfair for a player that is as young as he is, and I think people don't understand, like, people don't kind of... People think because Mudryk's kind of a big name that he's been around for a lot longer than he actually has. Yes, he's like, I think he's 23, right? But he's he has not played a lot of senior football, and he needs to get the game time, because if he's just getting 15-minute cameos off the bench, it's not good enough for his development. And the sad thing is that one of the things which we were all giving Pochettino credit for before we signed him, and one of the things as I mentioned when I made my big video on him earlier in the season, in pre-season, is that he is supposedly really good at developing young players, and he hasn't done that at all. And it's like, that was one of your only redeeming qualities, because quite honestly, and I didn't make this known, I didn't make this known at the time, because I kind of wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to be positive, I wanted to be optimistic. I had horrific fears about Pochettino when he signed, because he was an ex-Spurs manager that had not won anything in England and somehow made PSG and Messi look absolutely terrible. And I mean, if you can make Lionel Messi, arguably the best player to ever grace a football pitch, look terrible, then what are you going to do with a player like Mudryk, who's not the best player in the world, you know? Like, it's worrying. And I think that, especially after having this supposed 3-month interview process of trying to find managers, to end up with Pochettino and it to go this badly just looks so bad on the board, because they clearly don't know what they're doing. We could have had Nagelsmann, we could have had Enrique, who was my pick, and Enrique was my original pick. I think he would have done a hell of a better job than Poch would have done. We could have had a lot of other managers, and we ended up with Pochettino, and here we are, 23 games into the season, and worse off than we were last time. And yeah, I mean, people can argue like, oh, if we had a proper striker, we'd do better. I understand that, but the thing is, Jackson was a player that coming out of La Liga, he had the best shot conversion rate of any striker in the league. He was a really good finisher before Pochettino got a hand on him, and now he's awful. It's just like, maybe we're cursed. Maybe it's something we did as a fan base. I'm not sure, but it's just really upsetting, because again, I love Jackson as a player. I love Disasi as a player. I love a lot of these players in the team, and these are such a likable group of players. With your Noni Maduekes, and Mudryk himself is very likable. Caicedo is very likable. Thiago Silva is very likable. Gusto is very likable. This whole team is really, really likable, but I just feel so bad for them all, because they all just been thrown in the deep end in this horrific system that doesn't suit absolutely anyone in the team. And it's just like, I don't know, man. I just feel it's unfair, and it's just depressing now. And well, yeah, I mean, that was a weird one. I did find that weird that Senegal didn't pick Jackson, but I'm wondering if that's because they saw him more as a left winger, and they had better players in that position as a kind of winger. I'm not really sure about that. But again, Jackson was scoring loads of goals for us, even though he was inconsistent. And obviously, I don't think Jackson was ever going to be the solution to our problems. Bringing in any promising youngster like that and expecting them to fix all the problems is just never the way to go. You need established names to kind of do that, and I think Osimhen is one of those that can do that. But I'm scared that bringing in Osimhen into this toxic environment right now under Pochettino would be an absolute giant mistake. And I've held off for a while. I've kind of said a lot of the time, I've said like, I would be perfectly happy if we keep Pochettino until the end of the season, then get rid of him and have like a fresh start. But it's getting to the point now where I was saying that back when I didn't think we were going to make the EFL Cup final. Now we actually have a route into Europe. It's more important that we actually get someone in that's going to win, will be able to win a cup match. And this is the thing, it's only one match. We don't need to be good for the rest of the season. We can go plummet down the league all I care. We just have to be good for that one game. That one game against Liverpool is the only game this season we need to be good in. The rest of them, I couldn't care less. We could lose every other game. I couldn't care less. As long as we didn't get relegated, we could lose every other game and win that one game, and that would be that would be a successful season considering the circumstances for us. Yeah, Jackson had 5 GNA in preseason. Yeah, that is correct, I believe. Yeah, it was 5. Yeah, he got goal against Brighton. He got like I can't remember offhand. He got a goal against Brighton. I don't think he scored against Newcastle. He didn't score against Dortmund because that was Burstow that scored. That's a weird one as well. Yeah, oh no. I'm not saying that we will win that game. I'm saying that's the only game that, if we are to win it, it has to be that game. I don't expect us to win. I think we're going to get absolutely battered again. And that's the thing, is that Klopp, as Josh just says there, Klopp will play, won't even play a full strength team, will still get battered. Yeah, the board does need to be held accountable, because at the end of the day, Pochettino should never have graced this football club at all. He should never been appointed, and that's on them. I will say, oh, did he score against Newcastle? I thought it was Newcastle. I didn't know if it was Newcastle or if it was Fulham. So I know we got 2 against Fulham. But at the end of the day, as I said, this club is just ruined from top to bottom, and the only reason why I'm so Poch out now is just because of how toxic it's become, how depressing every game is, how horrible the atmosphere in the stadium is now. And obviously we were going on a good run at Stamford Bridge. We were 10 unbeaten until this game. This is a crazy stat, by the way. I think it's been 45 years, I believe was the number. 45 years since Wolverhampton Wanderers have come to Stamford Bridge and won a game. And then that's where Pochettino came in. Oh yeah, Pochettino would have been sacked at least 4 months ago if Roman was still at the club. But unfortunately, times have changed, and that's not the type of team we are anymore. And I think that's a kind of a sad reality that's kind of setting in for a lot of us, is that we are just not that European powerhouse anymore, which is crazy to see and very upsetting. And I put this on, I said this on Twitter, and I don't know if any of you guys feel this, right? Is that for me personally, this is just me speaking from how I feel. Football has always been that thing which I look forward to every weekend as a form of escapism, as a form of cool, I can forget about everything else going on in my life for a bit and just watch the football and just get away from everything. And now it is just so depressing watching this team, and it's I am so grateful that I get to do this hobby and make content for you guys, because if I didn't do this, if I was just watching the games, I would be so depressed. I would be so utterly depressed. But the fact that I have to keep making things, I have to keep talking about things, I get to do this, and I do love doing this. I've made it clear. I genuinely enjoy doing this and making videos and doing these live streams. And it's just that's the only thing which I actually enjoy about Chelsea Football Club nowadays, because watching the actual games is abysmal. watching the games is horrible. We'll have to see. I don't want to ramble on too long. I don't know how long have I been streaming for. It's probably ages. We're getting nearly to 45 minutes. This is the longest stream I've ever done, I think, on the channel. So I won't ramble on too much. What we will do is just because I want to keep consistent, we will run a poll for who is the true blue of this of this game, and this is going to be funny. I just want to see how you guys vote here. Let's do that. There we go. Start the poll. Everyone get your votes in. Who's your true blue for this game? Oh goodness. This will say a lot about chat, whether you are up voters or down voters. It's obviously Palmer. Oh, but the question is it Palmer or is it Palmer? Because that's the poll. That's what you've got to vote for. You've got to vote between either Palmer or Palmer. Thank you for the votes, guys. I'll end that. That's just a bit of a joke. Yes, Palmer, you're a true blue. And this is a final image that I think sums up Chelsea pretty well. Having all of these things in the bad box and nothing in the good box. I think that kind of sums up how Chelsea are this in these days. Let me just quickly check. What is the next game? I think we're playing Villa, right? Are we playing Villa? Let me check the fixture list. Yeah, it's our 4th round replay of the FA Cup against Villa. Let's hope we don't get knocked out of that. That'll be fun. Yeah, 10 league goals now for Cole Palmer. which is crazy. I think the stat. I think I saw the stat as well. Is that I think he's the first under 21 Chelsea player to reach double figures in goals in like goodness knows how long. Good evening will kill us. Yeah. I'm dreading that game. What is our next league game actually? Let me check that too. So we've got, oh, that's great. So we've got Villa on Wednesday, and then Monday we have Palace at Selhurst Park. So that's gonna be fun to do. That's a late kickoff as well, which is gonna be fun. Both of those are late kickoffs. Probably get battered by Villa. I wouldn't be surprised if Elise has a masterclass and beats us there too. But yeah, I probably will do a tactical breakdown for this game if I can get the time to. I think we've got 4 days between now and that Villa game. Obviously, the preview for the Villa game will be the day before or on the morning, because it is a late kickoff. It might be on the morning if I don't have time. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Well, I'll try and keep you guys updated on the community page, whether things change in terms of uploads or whatever, and whether Pochettino is still in a job by noon tomorrow. It's Elise got injured, yeah, didn't he? Well, Eze will probably batter us too, to be honest. Either one of them will probably batter us. And that's the reality we have to face as Chelsea fans. And that'll be the live stream for today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And again, thanks for the donations, the super chats. We'll have to... Is Eze injured as well? All of their players are getting injured, bless them. We might have a chance. But anyway, we move on to Aston Villa. I've just knocked over my bottle, love that. I'll end the stream here, maybe hit the outro. As I said, thanks guys for sticking around. It's been a very long stream, nearly, yeah, just over 45 minutes now. So yeah, we'll be back before the Villa game, and obviously I'll be streaming after the Villa game too, and after the Palace game too, and let's just hope we can do things. As I always say, keep that blue flag flying high, because we certainly need it. And yeah, God man, I'm exasperated, what can I say? Alright, I'm gonna hit the outro. As I said, thanks guys for hanging around, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. But that was just my Feeling Blue match review for this week. Thank you ever so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this match in the comment section below, and if you'd be so kind, subscribe to the channel and leave the video a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, or check out some of the other videos on the channel on screen right now. I've been Mono from Mono CFC, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues.